Hello, family and friends. It's 4:31, and we're here. And if you're watching this at another time, then it is the time that you're at right now. Now is the time. It's a beautiful day out here. A little bit cooler than it was yesterday, but once again, beautiful enough for us to take a bit of a reprieve or a respite at the West River. And once again, ran into some friends, not I ran into social distancing, ran into some friends, had great conversations at the river, stood by the water, and the water is my recharge. When I get into water, it I don't know, it replenishes me. It gives me answers and it washes away the junk. And I don't just mean taking a bath in the water. I mean it actually washes away a lot of the emotional junk. My my happy place is in near by water. And in the summer times, that has been, and my youngest child, my daughter Evelina, water is her happy place as well. So it's been a wonderful excuse whenever the weather is warm to get to water, to go to bodies of water and just step in because I, in water, I have a chance to return to my place in the universe. It may sound weird to some people because no, there's a bit of a double-edged sword there in the water recharge for me. Because as a youngster, and I always had a fear of drowning. And as an early teen, I nearly drowned. I jumped in the water that was too deep for me and didn't have a way out. Fortunately, my brother, who was 2 years older than me, pushed me out or out of the deep end water and back towards the dock where I can get to safety. And I promised myself from that moment on that I would learn how to swim. And I did learn how to swim, and I was a lifeguard, and I was a swimming instructor for years after that. But to be able to have that space of recharge and also have the the fear of it is a little for me. I kind of laugh. It's almost like a an inside joke, God's inside joke. The thing that you need to recharge is also the thing that could possibly take you down. And in that, I get glimpses of people who are coping with addiction, people who are coping um, with problems that both give them the release and also are potentially detrimental to them. Not that I sympathize, but I get an understanding of some of that. And I know that each of us has our spaces that are what we need to thrive and what we need to recharge or to download or to offload some of our junk. And sometimes those things are also problematic. I have a child who's going to try and sneak through. If you need to get by, buddy, go low. Uh, he's now trying to do some TikTok prank on me while I'm doing this thing. That's my middle child. Um, and it is really important for each of us that we do have our recharge, our reset, our our way of getting back to ah, getting back to ah. Right now, with me, what I would like you to do is take a long inhale, a deep inhale, fill up, and then exhale, open. Just let everything relax and let it out. And again, I want you to inhale and hold. Nice, expansive inhale. And as you exhale, I want you to feel that if there's any tension, is your throat completely relaxed, like a yawn? Let it out. Just, if when you do relax, it causes your jaw to do some things where it feels like it's going into a yawn, let it go into a yawn. That is the full release. We're going to do that 3 more times of breathing in and then letting it go with just an open yawn. And then breathe it in and let it go. And again, breathe in and let it go with just a nice open yawn. Just let it, all the air just flow out. No forcing, just let it go. Okay. This is a wonderful exercise. It's just breathing. It's just breathing, and the breathing exercise in letting the relax happen on the exhale. This is a breathing exercise that my opera coach would give to me to try and get to, so I could relax all this stuff here and I wasn't straining to let sound come out, because the other muscles will do the work of that. And I found that it was a really great exercise that when I started opening up and letting that air flow in and letting it just flow out, I longed for those moments, and I would find myself sitting in public and having moments where I just did my breathing exercises and 5 breaths of just letting that yawn happen and letting it go is it sometimes enough to just release the stress of the moment, if not all the stress of the day, the stress of the moment. Whatever is weighing heavy, let it go with that breath and let everything just release. And also, we don't think about very often is when you start to get stressed and you start to tense up in your throat, and the next thing you know, you can barely get your words out, and you're straining, and then you're really forcing to get them out, and your voice goes up a bit. If we can just take a moment and breathe and breathe. Because when we breathe freely, we can speak freely. And speaking freely doesn't mean you just speak everything that comes out there. It means that you don't have to force the words out. It's not a yell, it's not a scream. It's just that as you breathe, the voice of the universe comes through you. It's very often hard, almost very difficult, to lovingly tense your face up and just say, I love you. It's really hard to actually come from the soul with that. But when you open and relax and breathe and let that happen, when you say, I love you, your hairs will tingle. Your skin will change. Sorry, something flew in front of my face. Everything about you will resonate slightly differently in that breath. And I asked you, so I started off by saying that going to the river is my recharge, my reset. And I try and do it when the weather's warm. I try and do it as often as I can. And when the weather's cold, what I've wound up doing is, for the past 2 years, having a membership at the local pool so I can get into a hot tub or swim some laps, because the water is just the place I need to go. And so, what is your space? Where do you go when you need to recharge? I'm writing that in the comments right now. And I don't know if it's a busy day or what, but I'm not seeing any comments. Maybe no one's here. Maybe you are out enjoying your day, and I hope that you are. And if you do find this later, I hope it speaks to you in ways that you need. It's recharge day. And as I've also spoken before, this is a chance for you to let your cup fill so that you can share from your saucer. And for that analogy, imagine you're a teacup and a saucer. Your, when you are filled to overflowing, all that spills out onto that saucer, that is what you share with the world. Drawing from your cup depletes who you are, and you want to stay full. And that's why it's Soul Full Sunday, so that we share from our cup. When I go to the river and I recharge, it makes it so much easier. It makes it feasible and possible for me to share from my saucer. The water fills me up. And water is just a magnificent thing. I could sit and contemplate on water forever. I wouldn't have to do a darn thing else. Because we look at a river, and as I said to my son today, he didn't want to have any of what I was laying down. I said, if you look at the river and you blink, when you open your eyes, it's a completely different river. The water that was just in front of you has now gone downstream. Not all the water is moving at the same rate. And that stream is new every second of its existence. It is a completely different stream that you enter today than you entered yesterday. And tomorrow will be a completely different stream. Even though the banks may look the same, there's constant erosion and movement of the rocks and the fish and the things and the water is absolutely different. And that, to me, is such an amazing thing. I could sit on and reflect on water for forever. Imagine you as water. Just as your blood is flowing through you, and it's not the same molecules flowing all together in the same pattern at any time. So just imagine that you, the you that went to sleep last night and the you that woke up this morning, it's a completely different you. There are some residual parts of that, and there's a lot of information that gets transferred. If that is the case, imagine what the new you can do in today. And when you go to sleep tonight, imagine what the new you is going to do tomorrow. What it's going to create. You'll hear me speak of this often about transformation, and that we are in a global transformation right now. And if we empower ourselves to wake up new and enact in the world what we can, not just what we think is possible, but what we can. And what we can do is the impossible. And when I say what we can do is the impossible, is that we can do what others cannot think of, what others are unable to think of. Because our thinking pattern is unique. Your thinking pattern is different than mine, and it is unique. And if you are capable of the impossible, and I am capable of the impossible, imagine what happens when we collaborate. Even more impossible. Imagine what happens when we collaborate and we bring in somebody else who's willing to step into that zone of creation, innovation in the impossible zone. Yeah, and that's the world I want to see. So I want to see more of this collaboration. When the folks who I ran into, Jan down at the river today, and Mark, and we spoke. Both of us are creatives. We were speaking about what that is of innovating in this time and space, innovating as performing artists, innovating as creative artists, and just laying down the new possibilities. What happens when we step outside of the boxes that were created for us and that we've created for ourselves? Well, the first thing is it's like stepping off of this planet. We're in outer space. But when you realize, oh, the moon is there, and I can get to the moon, then you look back at the Earth and you go, huh, that's not so far, and it's so far. And then the possibility of, where else can I go? The scariest thing about a trip to Mars right now is we haven't been there. As soon as somebody lands on Mars, they're going to say, how much further can I go? My first drive across the United States, I drove from, when I drive from California to New Jersey, I thought, oh man, what is this? And then as soon as I got to the other coast and I got to from the Pacific to the Atlantic, I wanted to do it again because all of a sudden there were so many more possibilities. Why did I take that route? Why did I come straight across the middle? Next time I'm taking the northern route, and then I'm going to cut back on the southern route. And it just opened up more possibilities for me. This is what we're all capable of when we step outside of our boxes, when we move into the new space, or when we get inside that go inside that box deeper and say, this is where I'm going to create from, so that I can push down those walls and create new spaces in which to work, new parameters in which to exist, and I can share in a different way. Okay, 15 minutes in, I'm going to give you one poem. Actually, you know, I'm going to divinely pull from this one, which I haven't stepped into for a while. Apologies That Never Came by Pierre-Alex Gentil. Uh-oh, I don't have my reading glasses. The poem today is Forgive You. Forgiving yourself is the thing you're supposed to do when you make a mistake that leaves lasting impact. Being unable to catch yourself from falling for someone who did everything right to sweep you off your feet is not a mistake. It is all rather a choice that cannot be erased, but can be repurposed to become lessons that teach you what to fall for next time. It can show you how to let yourself slowly down into it instead of allowing your heart to drop you into them. And I like to read from this Apologies That Never Came. It's just, there's a lot of stuff in there, this power about the forgiving process. And because many of us have not received apologies for what we've felt or seen as wrongdoings. And many of us have not offered apologies to ourselves for the wrongs that have happened in our lives and the wrongs that we've done to ourselves. And when I say wrongs, do mean mistakes or missteps, mishaps. It's also part of the growth process, our individual growth process. And then from A Poem a Day, Volume 2, the war rages on, battlements fortified, love, fear, head, heart, gut, sometimes allies, sometimes adversaries. Mind, body, spirit just joined. The soul, the prize to the victor. Alrighty. There does not have to be a battle, because love never went into battle. Love doesn't go into battle. Fear goes into battle. Anger goes into battle. Disappointment goes into battle. But love does not. You know, love is a battlefield. No. We lovingly step off the battlefield. We lovingly remove the enemy. And when I say remove the enemy, we lovingly transform ourselves into one who will not be the enemy or the adversary. We become the ally in love. And a lot of times, very often, that is difficult, extremely difficult. Billy Slade, thank you for joining me here today. You are the only one I see up, which doesn't mean that you're the only one here. For those of you whose names I cannot see, thank you also for joining me here today. It's really great. I'm glad that I have this opportunity to share and to welcome you into my process and hopefully help you to gain your own process. At this point, stay safe, be well, move forward with passion and purpose, and know that you are enough. Go ahead and say it. I am enough. You are enough. Know in your head and in your heart and in your gut, we're going to get through this. We are going to get through this. What will come after this? It's really important that we create a loving space for the impossible to become reality. Thank you. I will see you here again at 4:30 or whenever you decide to replay me. Alrighty. Have a wonderful day.